When is enough enough when running an agency? With the pressures of vendors, staff, and clients, sometimes you just need to move on. We're talking with Craig Campbell about his departure from agency life and building his consulting career today on The Edge.
Go! Your weekly digital marketing trends with industry trend-setting guests. Powered by your digital marketing pioneers, Site Strategics. This week's featured guest is Craig Campbell, affiliate marketing extraordinaire of Craig Campbell SEO. Now, here's your host, Erin Sparks.
This is Edge of the Web. I'm your host, Erin Sparks. Every week we bring you amazing guests to chat with about trending digital marketing topics, as well as news. We unpack a key marketing topic for our digital marketing audience. Whether you're a part of an agency, a freelancer, or part of a firm, this show is for you. So check out all the information over at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. The show is actually sponsored by the title sponsor, Site Strategics, pioneers in the agile digital marketing system. If our core specialties are SEO, technical SEO, content management, SEM, social media marketing, and the like, conversion rate optimization, as well as the omni-channel media broadcast, of which this show is part of. Whether you're seeing the video or on the podcast or checking out our content that we're broadcasting, we kind of cover all the digital marketing lanes. So check us out, what we're doing over at sitestrategics.com, or you can even check it out at edgemedia.studio to see all of our studio work over here. But if you're interested in what we could do for you, either here in Indianapolis, but of course remotely around the world, just give us a shout at 877-736-4932. That is 876. It's actually on the screen right there. I don't want to repeat it. So there's that. Just want to let you know who's actually going to be coming up on the show here in the next few episodes. We're going to be talking to Dan Sharp of Screaming Frog, as well as Kevin Indig. So we also want you to make sure you check out some of the recent shows that we have. We had Dixon Jones on, Christina Azarenko. We also had Fernando Angula from head of communications of SEMrush. Oh, I did it again. I don't do the entire SEMrush show saying it the way they want to, and look what I did. I even edited the show today. What is that?
It's hard to break habits.
Well, we would use that tool for 12 years. So yeah, it's kind of. And we also talked to Jason Barnard and had a really good a couple of shows talking about digital SEO entities and the entire concept of that. So check those shows out and let us know how we did on those, because reviews are certainly part of our marketing matrix. If you're interested in being part of the show, just go drop us a line over at info@edgeofthewebradio.com, or just drop us a note on our form. We'll certainly respond out and connect with you and see what we can do with you. All right, so set your reminders on YouTube and get notified whenever we post those videos. And we break apart a couple different things out of our interviews regularly, so have a look there. Make sure you check out all the weekly news podcasts as well. So we're covering the most recent digital marketing and predominantly SEO news each and every Tuesday. You can mark your calendars on that. We drop it each Tuesday around 6 a.m. So we're talking about the trending news of that week that you need to be paying attention to. And we've got Morty Oberstein with us, and usually we can contain him, but you never know what he's actually going to say. So you might want to tune in just to see that train wreck. All right, so let's introduce you to Craig Campbell. Craig is actually a well-known SEO expert from Glasgow, UK. He has 18 years of experience in SEO, consulting, and digital marketing. He's also a regular SEMrush. See what I did there? Webinar host, SEO trainer, and speaker. And since Craig has been helping, during this period of time, he's been helping hundreds of businesses. He's decided to actually start flipping websites for profits as well. He's also an agency trainer, providing great information to agencies to set up their game in SEO. He actually has a really unique history. First, he was an in-house SEO for a year, and then he went 3 years for freelancing, 9 years running an agency, and that's grueling in its own right. And then I believe 7 years on his own as a consultant. Craig, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a great introduction. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, thanks for joining us. And where are you hailing from today, Craig?
In Glasgow, so you can see the white skin that's not seen sunlight for a few months. So it's cold and wet in Glasgow. Yeah, can't get anywhere.
You can't go anywhere. It's in lockdown right now, and there's a heck of a lot of, you're doing a heck of a lot of videos and podcasts, right?
Yeah, just got to make the most of this time that we have
yeah.
to churn out as much as I can.
No, we certainly appreciate you joining us today in that, and we wish you all the best to be able to get out and escape whenever you can. I mean, obviously it's been a challenge for everybody, but uniquely in SEO and digital marketing, because the conferences or kind of a fabric of connection, more so than most industries. It was sharing information because digital marketing is changing so much. We've missed that connective tissue, so to speak, for a good year and a half, right?
Yeah, it's been a killer. Like last year, 2020, I had some amazing opportunities to speak at places all over the world, and every single one of them was either postponed or done online. And as you say, it's not just about the speaking for me. It's meeting guys in person, having a beer, and just those conversations at bars and stuff.
Absolutely.
Just drop, so much knowledge, and I massively miss it. It's been a tough, whatever year or whatever it is that we've not been able to travel.
I believe we're about to start calling it an era pretty soon. No, but you're absolutely right. It's not only just information, it's also building trust out there, because there's so many things that have you pondering whenever you look at an SEO challenge. And it's great to be able to have those relationships to say, you know what, hey, what do you think about this? And you're all in the same boat, so to speak, be able to analyze technical SEO, and we all have these different takes on it. To be able to have that camaraderie out there that you can rely on just to have a peek at something that you're challenged with. I mean, that bond has to keep on, even though we're separated. So what do you think about the virtual conferences that have gone through here over the last year or so?
I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed them. Like, we still have to communicate, we still have to learn, we still have to see what other people are doing. However, it's not the best thing. The traveling part, as I say, is the most important part for me. Traveling and obviously meeting people in person, but you've got to make the best of the situation we're in. And for me, just doing them online, it keeps us all going. It keeps us all up to date with information, and it is the best we can do just now. So I have thoroughly enjoyed being able to still be fortunate enough to be asked to do some of them. And it's just not the same having a beer, sitting yourself, on a Zoom or whatever, trying to talk to people. It just doesn't have the same feel.
It doesn't really connect after you got your six pack, I got my six pack, and we got a Zoom recording. I mean, part of that is what stays in the bar, what happened in the bar stays in the bar, right?
Exactly.
So we did want to get into your history and kind of unpack. It is a unique history. I just kind of gave you kind of a roll through for our audience, but can you give us your history in your own words? What transpired to get you into the consultancy space?
The consultant space. So obviously, as you see, I started out in-house, done freelance, ran my own agency for 9 years. And I think you said it, that, that is a long time in itself.
Yeah.
Running an agency for 9 years. And I won't lie, it was real hard work. And obviously when I had an agency, things like outsourcing the work weren't as big as they are now. And I wasn't big into networking and being able to have friends in the community that I could phone up and say, guys, I'm stuck or whatever. I was built into my agency, and everything revolved around me, which was the wrong way. I was working in the business, not on the business.
There you go.
I didn't have the right processes. I didn't have time to train my staff. I didn't have time to do anything properly. And, it was super stressful. I'd done decent turnovers and everything else, but small margins, small profits. We've all been there, done everything wrong, essentially. And at that point, I was just like, there's got to be an easier way of making money. And, I think, after all of the time that I had running an agency and, messing around as a freelancer, I felt at that point, training and consultancy was something I did have to give to people. Although I wasn't the most successful agency owner in the world, I could help someone do it a hell of a lot better than I did. And I don't really blame myself, because I think we all start off in this industry not having a clue what we're doing, and we're just making it up as we go along. And before you know it, you hire a sales guy, a web guy and whatever. And before you know it, you're sat there with a business and you've not got the first clue about how to run a business.
Yep.
And that's scary, and you know what it's like. You've probably been, most people will be able to resonate with that. We've all been there, having a clue what an accountant is, or what tax is, or PAYE, or any responsibilities that you've got.
Right.
And it was all a learning curve. And I think now, after the pain that I had suffered in running an agency so badly, I was able to guide people into setting up processes, into taking themselves out of the business, and delegation, and being able to try and scale things up, that things that I wasn't able to do that successfully because I was so stupid, egotistic. I couldn't let go, didn't want to delegate. So there was loads of mistakes I made. Obviously, as a young guy that found himself as a business owner, did make a lot of mistakes, and I think I've been able to help people massively trying to cut those mistakes out. And that's where the consultancy and training and everything else really came about. And I think, a lot of people don't like owning up to how bad they set up their business.
Right.
And I don't mind sharing those tips with people. So, I made money, but not great amounts of money. It was pretty much an absolute train wreck of a business. And
well, it's a rarity that we have guests that actually share that type of experience. It's tough to admit your failures and kind of help those individuals with experience and sharing those failures, and you went through the gamut there. On it's absolutely an example of so many different agencies. I think, especially in the digital marketing space, right? There's so many unknowns. There's this Wild West mentality of SEO that we all had 10 to 15 years ago. And we were learning as we were going. There was no defined marketplace. So on top of everything else, this industry is constantly inventing itself over and over again. You have to have those processes in place internally to be able to learn and train and explain to others. And there's so many scenarios where you've got somebody that's got native knowledge or intrinsic knowledge of some of the skills there, and you almost be a bank on them for a long period of time. And ultimately, they have enough sense to themselves to actually pick up and leave the organization. And then you've got all that investment with those individuals that just kind of walk out the door. It's very deflating, right?
Yeah. It's again, we've all had that. These are the things that you set yourself up, train a guy, he sets up and he's in competition with you, and you're just like,
right.
What was I paying that guy for the last 4 years for? I think for me, the massive problem we have as agency owners and whatever else is people. And, people are ambitious. They want to run off and do their own. People do go into agencies. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the percentage would be, but people go into agencies to suck up all that knowledge, and they bugger off and do it themselves. Right. That's why there's agency after agency after agency opening up, because that's just the way people are. Agencies don't pay well. As SEOs, we want to pay people, a low rate, treat them like VAs. And there comes a time where that whole model is just really hard to turn around and keep people happy and pay them the right money and stuff like that. Because if you were to pay people well, that's where you become that high charging agency, the agency that charges your 5 and 10 grand a month. And obviously, a lot of customers don't have those budgets. So there's a balance there, and it's very, very hard to get that balance right and retain, staff and have good, honest people working for you. One thing that really frustrated me with the agency was the staff. People's fifth grandmother dying, and you know, all of these kind of garbage excuses. They just don't have the same hunger and desire to succeed in the business world that I had.
Right.
And you know, that became very frustrating in itself as well. And that's where I had to say something has to change here, because I'm banging my head against a brick wall for 10 years,
Right.
and I can't see a way out. You know, all I'm doing is taking on more and more stress and more frustration, until I decided enough was enough.
So it's very cathartic, this conversation. I appreciate it. What is enough? When does an agency owner actually say, you know what, this is not for me? Obviously, everybody has their own process, but when is the writing on the walls, right?
There was a few for me. So I'll be honest, there was a few times where someone would phone me up, and they would be, you know what clients are like. They can be relatively rude, and they're poking you, you know, giving you a bit of shit. And one day I just lost the rag on the phone, and I just said to the guy, like, please go and F yourself, piss off, don't deal with me anymore and stuff like that. And my wife worked, and she's like, you can't speak to people like that. And I'm just like, I've had enough of this stuff. So, you know, when you start to speak to clients like that and you're not caring, that was a kind of tick, you know, maybe your time's up.
Yep.
But also, I ended up suffering from anxiety. So I had to go to the doctors and you know, get medication and stuff, because I felt as if I couldn't switch off, I couldn't sleep at night, because I'd wake up at night going, geez, I've not emailed that guy, or I've not done that invoice, or I've not done that quote. So I was actually starting to suffer health-wise,
Right.
with the stress and stuff. And the doctor was saying to me, like, what's bothering you? Is it money? Is it maritable, you know, stuff with your wife or whatever? And I'm like, nah, everything's good. You know, I'm making okay money and stuff like that. But then obviously I went away and had a think to myself, you know, what what was the biggest stresses? And obviously that was staff,
Right.
talking to clients, chasing money all the time, you know, going on holiday, and, you know, you couldn't get off that phone. You know, I was in the hotel reception at 7 a.m. trying to do my emails and do phone calls and crazy stuff like that, so I could try and get some form of holiday. But, you know, I think I went probably 6 or 7 years without a proper holiday. Whilst I was abroad, I was still working, you know, in the morning,
Yeah.
you know, even at night before I went out for, you know, beers or whatever, you know, all of that stuff. And, you know, you're sitting on holiday going, you know, and you talk to other business owners and they're just lying around and, you know, switching completely off and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't even go half an hour without somebody pestering me. So all of these things, you know, brought me to a point where I was just like, this is not good.
No, absolutely. Especially when it comes to health wise, and so many business owners, agency owners such as you were, they're motivated and they're hungry and they're going to suffer themselves as they're trying to succeed, because we're all told, you know, and everybody can't be a Gary Vaynerchuk, right? That is crushing it all the time. It does take its toll, and you have to be able to protect yourself. You know, we're not advocating all agency owners cease and desist and just fly away. But I would guarantee that your story is more common than not, and especially in the digital marketing space, because there is a continual frenzied focus on all the different things that can be done. And you're also dialed into the success of those clients. You have to get them leads. You have to be able to bring that value on a regular basis. Otherwise, those clients are going to immediately start shopping around because they don't know enough about what you're doing in the SEO space, because it is ethereal. It's like they think it's sprinkling magic fairy dust on a site, right? And that's not the case. They just don't see the tangible nature. So they're always going to be looking at the grass is a little greener, and there's a lower budget, and maybe I'm not getting what I'm paying for. You know, you always have to bring the value, and that's a huge stress for company owners and agencies, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that was one of the things that I also found very frustrating, was the amount of time that it was taking me. Because while I was doing the agency, I was the sales guy, I was the SEO guy. I was everything. The guy that done the invoices. I couldn't let control at first. I didn't let anyone touch any of that stuff.
Yep.
And it was the amount of time that I was spending just schmoozing clients and kidding on. What it's like. You're really in month one, maybe doing some GMB stuff or whatever, sorting citations and cleaning up their website after, doing an audit. That would be month one done. But you can't just say that to a client. You've got to kid on. You're doing keyword research and competitor analysis and document and report on all this stuff. And I felt that, probably 80% of my time was just talking absolute garbage to people, making stuff up just to keep them paying. Yeah. And for me, as a guy who thoroughly enjoys SEO and the strategies and everything behind it, I was starting to actually lose interest in SEO because it was just a chore. You're just like, oh man, I've got a full week of making up reports to do for a month. So I was losing time left, right, and centre.
It's almost like when it's time to actually do what you're passionate about, right?
Yeah.
Hey.
So yeah.
All right. Well, this is quite therapeutic because literally I came in at 4 a.m. today doing work. So. No, Jacob, I'm not running for the door.
You've got 3 more minutes till you hit 12 hours, Aaron. Come on.
That's true. Well, I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, and certainly you stuck with it. It is a challenge, and there needs to be support resources for other agencies. This is what we were talking about in the beginning of a network of professionals that are in this space that you can also kind of commiserate with, because this is a newfound country all the time inside of SEO, and the game's always changing, and you're constantly being scrutinized by somewhat of a lack of knowledge clientele that are always looking for the nice new shiny object to be able to throw into their marketing basket. So there's constant churn of staff, and on top of that, just trying to make the engine run smoother. There's a lot of work there. I absolutely agree in that space. So jumping out of the agency and focusing on consulting, you've moved into the consulting career. You've been doing speaking engagements for a number of years here. What else would you recommend if the agency life's not for that entrepreneur or that business owner? What do you recommend as help building their brand and building their individual consultancy? You give us a roadmap there.
I mean, for me, it wasn't an instant pivot. You can't just one day shut an agency and go and be a consultant.
Sure.
It was something that was probably done over a period of time. You have to go out there and do your speaking gigs and speak for free. And people think speakers are paid a massive amount of money. Right. It's not about that. It's about building your brand and getting more gigs and trying to get the gigs that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And it's all about building trust and authority. Why would someone use Joe Schmo down the road that says he's a consultant? There has to be something that you're well known for, whether you deliver good stuff at a conference or whatever. Right. That is where people are then going to be attracted to you. So for me, if you're thinking about it, why would someone use you as an SEO consultant and not one of the thousands of others that are out there? And that's where you really have to be able to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. So when you're going to conferences or getting the opportunity to speak in webinars, podcasts, whatever it might be, sure. You've got to be able to deliver knowledge, case studies and all that kind of stuff, and actually give people, because you know what it's like, SEO people can tell when someone else is talking a load of garbage. Yep. I've been there at conferences and looked at people on stage going, I just can't believe what's coming out that person's mouth. They're an absolute rookie. And listen, I've been that rookie myself. I've been blagged my way onto stage and all of that stuff. But if you want to be a consultant to an agency or to other SEOs, because lots of SEO people book a call with me and, just like an hour call just to run things past me and all that kind of stuff. And I'll do the same as well. We don't all know everything, but the only way that people are going to book me is if I consistently prove that I'm on top of the game and deliver actionable tips and advice and show people things that actually work rather than being, one of the normal bullshitters that are on stages. So for me, it takes a bit of time, and again, you guys will understand that, doing podcasts, doing whatever it's going to be,
Sure.
It's a lot of time, a lot of effort. Even when I was traveling, all over the world, there's cost to that stuff. So it's a massive, massive investment. And for me, that's always that coincided with the brand building and everything else. So, and also the networking opportunity. So for me, was obviously building trust, the brand, and building my network of contacts, because now, like the people you mentioned, like Mordy, Oberstein, Kevin and Dig, Don Anderson, blah, 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 Jason Bernard, these are all people I talk to on a very regular basis.
Yep.
I've met them in person. So if I've got a problem, and we spoke about Don Anderson off here, where you mentioned like she's super, technical, the way she looks at SEO.
Yep.
So you can't be good at everything. So it's good to have these contacts and phone up Don and say, Don, like, can you sort me out here? Or Jason Bernard. Jason is another guy where I ran into kind of problems when I was building my knowledge panel. And Jason, phone Jason or message Jason. Jason, what are you doing? Give me some tips. And because me and Jason have got a good relationship, he will help me, absolutely no problem. And that all of that combined is what then gets me more trust, more authority, and everything else. So you've got to be yourself. And it took me years, of speaking at events and stuff to really get the proper consultancy gigs. You got the odd one here and there, but it wasn't like an overnight thing where, to hell with the agency. There's a gap there and a pivot. And I got sick of the agency. I didn't just shut down one day and flip out. I was using the agency money and investing it wisely into other things like going abroad, speaking, trying to get speaking gigs, being on people's webinars and shoveling the client money into investing in myself. And that's what you've got to do essentially, is invest in yourself. You guys will be the same. How much money, if I was to ask you right now, how much money do you think you've spent on courses, speaking, training, even all that equipment in the background you've got there for this? It's hundreds of thousands of pounds, really.
You better believe it. So still paying the bill.
So people think it's easy. Yeah. It's not, and the cost to it is obscene. So I don't want to sit here and say, oh, it's easy, just pivot away from crappy client work and jump into consultancy. It wasn't easy, very, very hard, very, very costly. And it pays off, don't get me wrong, but I could do all of that, and if I wasn't able to deliver knowledge on a stage, I would have failed. I would have crumbled very, very quickly. So you've also got to be good at SEO. And again, we've all been there. We all know we're blagging it at the start. And, I probably wasn't a good SEO for the first 12 years of my career. Whatever. I was pissing around and there was massive gaps in my knowledge. And, there comes a point where you're like, do you know what? I'm now, confident that I've covered most of this stuff. And of course, I'm not the most technical guy, like Don Anderson is. None of us are really. Some people just have really weird quirks to their skill sets. But I think overall, knowledge-wise and experience, it takes a long time. It's been a long apprenticeship.
Absolutely. Well said. And I think you're bringing us to that concept of continued learning and continued investment in yourself. Like you're saying, whether or not you're part of an agency, you have to have that constant investment in skills, investment in your brand, but you have to earnestly be learning all the time. And from an SEO standpoint, good portion of us, all of us never knew what it was as we were getting into it. And you just have to have the discipline to continue learning and be real with yourself as well, is that if you're obviously, if you're purveying something that is disingenuous, it's going to come back and bite you. But if you're actually building skills on something that is not at, what do you want to say? If you're, I don't want to say this. If you're moving content that you can't stand behind, or moving methodologies that you can't stand behind as well, then you're going to be challenged, because you're going to be found out by your peers, right?
Yeah, and they'll laugh you off they'll laugh you off the park. You know, I've seen it
Absolutely.
before where we've just sat and basically laughed at someone going, you know, or you get a WhatsApp message saying, "Have you heard this crap that this guy's coming out with?" That happens, and you know, people talk.
Yeah.
We're not fools in the industry, so you know, there's no point in trying to pull the wool over your peers' eyes, because your peers are everything, really. You know, if you know what it's like. The SEO community is quite a close-knit community to some degree. Someone always knows someone,
Sure.
And word can spread really, really quickly if you are, you know, some dodgy cowboy. So I would always say, be careful who you argue with, be careful who you try and throw under the bus, be careful, you know, with what crap you're talking and stuff like that, because it can all come back and bite you in the bum. And although it's a big bad world out there, the SEO community is not actually that big.
No.
So be careful what you do. That's one bit of advice I would say, because you know, you start arguing. I've done it. I've argued with people online and LinkedIn. You know what it's like when you're younger, calling people out and all that.
Right.
And people like, "Hey, you know, what you doing, man?" Like, and you know, I probably killed myself off with the opportunities and stuff just by sheer arrogance and ignorance. So you know what it's like, though. We all do stupid things. You know, if we're drunk and we see someone talking garbage or whatever, you just jump on it. Come on, you.
And that's the worst. That's the worst thing right there. Is that you're right. Back to what point you made is that you never can shut off work, right? Even if you're at the bar, you're never shutting off work, because that email's coming in, and boy, isn't that a pivotal moment whenever you're jamming on the email so hard after a few pints, right? Or you throw down in LinkedIn after hours, and oh boy, do I regret that comment. That turned into a brush fire. So from all of us, this is a public service announcement to all the SEOs out there. Don't get into a pissing match when you're pissed, right?
Yeah.
Can we say don't drink in SEO?
We can.
Don't.
Well, actually, you know what? That'd be wonderful. You know, drunken history.
Oh, God.
That would be like wonderful. Drunken SEO.
Yeah. The keywords you come up with while you're
Let's try this tactic out. Right. Just block indexing. Let's see what happens. All right.
Well, listen, I've done that a few times. Got home from the pub and you know, went to sort some redirects out on websites and stuff. And yeah, it was pretty messy. You know, all sorts of redirect loops and chains. And you wake up and you're just like, what was I doing, man? Like, you know, I was probably listening to music playing in one ear, you know,
Absolutely.
doing an audit there and doing my redirects, and yeah, it's a bloody dangerous thing.
With great power comes great responsibility. All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and break in. We certainly appreciate the time and the insight and the candor, talking about agency life and the stresses of agency life, more particularly, because it's not an easy game, and you stuck it out for a good decade, man. So don't feel at all negative on that side, and you're certainly doing a great job building your brand today. So lessons learned there that you wouldn't have known otherwise, right?
Exactly. It's all part of the learning curve.
All right. I wanted to get into some SEO and start lobbing some concepts at you and start talking about the things that you're most famous for, right? So let's talk about the concept of black hat and white hat. We've heard black hat for years gone by, and we were talking back in the pre-penguin and pre-panda days of efforts and tactics that would absolutely garner you top rankings. And yeah, they were a bit spammy. They were a bit manipulative, right? For those of you who don't know what black hat SEO is, just search it. You're going to find plenty of information about that. But is this still a concept, black hat and white hat, in today's SEO environment?
I mean, obviously the wording of black hat and white hat SEO is still thrown about massively by people. However, you know, I'm not a huge fan of, you know, people labeling themselves white hat or black hat.
Right.
So I'll give you my definition of how this works. So, you know, what you said before, black hat SEO was spammy, scrape box, rumor, all of the spam of the day, you know, social bookmarking on automation, directory listings on automation, all the garbage that worked, you know, back pre-Panda and Penguin. So that kind of stuff worked back then, but obviously Google caught on to it. You get slammed for it. The quality bar has to raise, and Google are going to flush out all of the garbage essentially.
Right.
So that is what a lot of people think black hat SEO still is.
Mm-hmm.
They think it's just spam and stuff like that. So people say, "Oh no, Craig's a dodgy black hat spammer or whatever." I wouldn't consider myself to do that kind of garbage work. What I would do is potentially buy links, buy expired domain names and do 301 redirects.
Mm-hmm.
I will do tiered link building where I'll buy a whole bunch of guest posts.
Mm-hmm.
And do, throw the spam at the guest posts, the post websites, because they can basically they're that powerful that they can take that level of spam and that powers up the link that then points to my website.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole bunch of other stuff. Niche edits, which is hack links if you like. You can buy them. Links still work. The concept of SEO hasn't really changed. Content links, obviously you're technical and everything else is important, but it's how you go about getting your links,
right,
or maybe how you go about getting your content might be seen as unscrupulous. And, we can sometimes cheat. I can, for example, some things I've done in the past is, get someone's RSS feed to ping me as soon as they've published a new SEO post,
mm-hmm,
and I've been able to copy and paste that very quickly, put it in my website, send it to an indexer, and get mine's indexed first, their content. Stealing content or expired domains, going to the Wayback Machine, stealing all the content off of expired domains. We're always looking to cut corners, whether it's for PBNs, whether it's for, whatever purpose. There's always a kind of cheat, if you like, and some of those tactics used in the right places, mm-hmm, works very well, but you're not going to be stealing content, putting it in your own main website. I mean, that's the height of stupidity. Mm-hmm. So it's black hat done with a bit more respect, which is where it takes it into the grey area. Right. White hat SEO people saying things like, "Don't buy links, don't do this, don't do that." Like, you need links to rank. Like, what are you doing just on page? And that's not going to cut it in the in a competitive market. Mm-hmm. And we all know, hand on heart, that links are an important ranking factor.
Absolutely.
And I know that, for me, white hat is a term that agencies tend to use or people use to make it out like they're doing something better than everyone else. It's more of a sales ploy. Guys that claim to be white hat, I know, are still buying links because I've got a link website that, no one knows that it's me behind it, but mm-hmm, I see who orders. And the whitest of white hat guys are buying links. Yeah, you stand on stage saying, "I don't buy links. Links are the devil," and all that. So,
you got evidence to the contrary.
So what people practice and what people preach are very often two different things.
Sure.
And as a newbie, you can get confused saying, "Oh, I don't want to listen to that Craig guy because everything he talks about seems to be a bit, shady or whatever." And of course I've done some shady stuff. We all have, but if it's my own website, my own brand and everything else, do I use stolen content? Right. Absolutely not. Why would I? Just pay the right rate and do the right thing. So mm-hmm, there's a time and a place for it all. But I think, everyone's got a bit of grey in them, whether they like it or not.
There you go. And anybody who's been in SEO for 15, 20 years, right, certainly knew different pieces of manipulation. I mean, at one point in time, there was a content spinner that we utilized to be able to churn up and spin content. So we were breaking strings of characters, so it would throw off the bots. So you'd actually, well, not the bots, but the indexing, to be able to have duplicate content, multiple pages of content across the web. I mean, these things were the coin of the realm at a particular point in time, and there's still machinations of that. There's still some automation that you can actually do that doesn't harken back to spam. It's more tactical manipulation, for lack of a better description, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things, as you say, like, I mean, there's still people having massive success with mass page builders It's just the strategy that they use to make that work, or the sequence of events that they have behind that makes it work. You can't just go out and lash out 20,000 pages, with a mass page builder and expect it to work. Right. Google's clever. Now it's a lot cleverer than it was before. But again, is how you use these tools and the strategy that you implement. Can you get away with mass page builders? They still work very much to this day. If it's all implemented properly and it's not done as a push button exercise where, as I say, you're lashing these things out, it would probably be drip fed out, right, and made to appear more natural. And that's the game, is to make things look as natural, and avoid leaving any kind of crazy footprints when you're doing this stuff. That's really the game of SEO, is right, who's got the best creative brain to do these things without getting caught.
Gotcha. And you talk about PBNs in the marketplace. If there wasn't a need for them, that marketplace wouldn't exist, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
evidently, and if you want to expand on PBNs for our listeners that don't know what that is, you want to just share with us real quick what the concept of PBNs are?
So for me, PBNs are private blog networks, is what they stand for.
Right.
Now, you've got two types of PBNs out there. One where a guy just buys hundreds of domain names, chucks out all sorts of crappy content, links to hundreds of thousands of websites, blah, 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 sells them in the black market. Stay well clear of that crap. It's just not effective.
Yep.
Other guys have got websites that are theirs. They may be affiliate websites. They've got rankings, traffic, and everything else that actually pass value. So these are a network of websites that are really in place to pass link value. However, these are websites that have good metrics. They do get traffic. They do have rankings. They are real websites. They are just footprint free. They have them in different personas, different hosting, all of that kind of stuff. So essentially, Google couldn't tell you whether that was a PBN or not, because you get traffic. They are real websites. And that is the difference between a good and a bad PBN. Don't buy links from a guy that's selling them on Fiverr or whatever. Because when you look at the external links on those websites, you'll see they've literally got hundreds of thousands of links. And think about it this way. If a link is pointing to your website, and whatever power that's going to pass is distributed to 150,000 other websites, like what value are you actually getting out of that? It's minuscule.
Exactly.
So it's a waste of money and a waste of everyone's time.
So again, it's the clever side of things of a closed PBN. So it's the value may be there in more of a narrow form as opposed to that type of global content push, which literally should have gone the way of the dodo. It's still out there, and it's still supporting those type of tactics. But more and more, Google's clamping down on those, and it certainly is throwing up demerits and de-indexing some of those sites on a regular basis. So, that's part of what SEMrush's network of links are. I think about 14 trillion links or something like that. Is that there's a constant scrutiny of the community reviewing those links that are coming up, and that's why you have an entire matrix of understanding malicious content inside of SEMrush. So, yeah. You've got the community that's actually sharing and evaluating that content that's out there. But there are some other clever linking strategies, and that's a real tough thing. Is that Google pushes out that they're not giving any value to guest blogging, right? There's certainly value out there if it's not spun for link pursuit, but actually authentic communication into a particular trade or a blog environment where you can actually contribute good information. It's not about the link; it's about the value that you're contributing into that space. The link could very well come along with it, but it's much more organic than finding your link on that particular blog for 50 different references in their header or their footer or what have you, right? There's still a play there of contributing into the marketplace, authentic, real content, right?
100%. It's something I think everyone should be doing, is working on PR type side of things. Obviously, it's helping your brand, you're helping the community, you're building trust, you're going to get that link value. You know, if you have a guest blog post, and we've all bought them, and you know, it's some crappy piece of spun content that doesn't get indexed, you know, or whatever, you know, whatever trick these guys are playing on you, it's just not doing anything for you. It's just, again, a complete waste of time and money. So take your time to you know, try and get links in the right places, you know, whether that be the search engine journal or whether it's coming on here and talking, you know, and offering value and advice. There's ways to get links, you know, using your knowledge and you know, your vocabulary and everything else.
Exactly.
And it doesn't always have to be spun garbage. So again, you know, SEOs ruin everything. You know, yes, but you know, Google clamped down on the old directory links and you know, the social bookmarking and all the other junk that was a ranking factor or helped you rank back in the day.
Oh, the stumble upon days.
Yeah. So you know, they're looking at it and say, right, this stuff can't be passing value anymore. We have to look at something else. And, you know, that's where relevance and quality and, you know, metrics and even, you know, people argue, you know, I only want links from websites that actually rank and have got traffic, which is why I was saying those PBNs now have evolved and they're actually real websites. So people have to put a lot more time and effort in. And that's something a lot of people don't want to do. You know, SEO is a pain in the backside. It's not rocket science. It's all about, you know, hard work, grind, effort, and it is getting harder. I'd love to push a button and just, you know, dominate everything. Sadly, we're not getting that anymore.
No.
So the PR side of things, what you know, is something I think is massively important, not only from a link perspective, but branding, and also that all ties back into your knowledge panel and all of that kind of stuff as well, because obviously you need to be on top websites for your knowledge panel and stuff like that to trigger. So getting these good links from these different sources is going to help with all of that kind of stuff as well. So it all goes hand in hand, the whole thing, really. So I think, you know, going down that one route of guest posts or PBNs or, you know, anything like that is just a crazy strategy. You've got to mix it up, be creative,
there you go,
and work hard at it.
And diversify, right? And you're building authority out there, regardless of whether or not Google says they don't appreciate guest blogs. I mean, there's certainly authority out there, and you're building your entity of information. We're talking about entities and relationship of different concepts, and that's what Google's paying attention to. Whether or not you got that link, you certainly have that information out there that is being pulled by Google, and you got to be able to plant that out there on a regular basis. So relationships, you talk about featured expert roundups and getting your information out there into these different webinars and what have you. It's all part of the same mix. You just have to mix it up. Have a discipline, though, continually pushing out there, right?
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, I want to shift gears here because the last thing on the list that I wanted to really bring to the table is you are stellar at buying and selling websites. And how does an SEO with skill jump into this particular market?
So I'll tell you a funny story, actually. I was doing work for a dentist guy, and he had 5 practices, and he was 31 at the time, and he phoned me up and said, "Can I meet you? I've got something I need to talk to you about." And I went to meet him, and he went, "Craig, I'm retiring. I'm going to sell up all my practices. I've been made an offer, and I'm just basically going to bail out and spend time with my family." I'm like, right, that's cool. And he said, "I put a good word in for you with a new owner, blah, 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 blah." He said, "But I've got one piece of advice." He says, "You're the stupidest guy I know." And I'm like, "What?" And he said, "You have got really good skills. You're really good at what you do. You have to stop making guys like me millions of pounds, and you are getting paid, you know, a very small percentage of that."
Oh, wow.
And that kind of, I was just like, do you know what? He's right. So I had to think, you know, he said to me, "You need to sell something." Now, I don't have anything to sell that's unique. You know, I'm not creative. You know, I have tried e-commerce websites in the past, like e-cigs. I've tried women's clothing. I've tried so many things with varying degrees of success. But one thing that I did think that I was good at was SEO. And I'm like, how can I make money on this? So that's where, I was looking at affiliate marketing and buying websites and stuff like that. Now, basically, how it works is I look for guys who are not that good at SEO, guys that are trying to do affiliate marketing. Now, we'll take Amazon as an example. Guys can scale a website up to get $1,000 a month on Amazon relatively easy. They just hit it hard with content, go after a whole bunch of long tail keywords, job done. They struggle to then scale that up to any more than that. Now, me inheriting that website is you can get them on Facebook groups. You can go to Flippa. You can go to anywhere. Guys are always they fall out of love with it because they can't get past $1,000 a month. So that's where I swoop in. I add my own strategies to it, my own beliefs from SEO, my own content strategy, my own link building strategy, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Scale that website up to say like $5,000 a month, just as an example. Now, websites at the moment sell for 40 times their monthly revenue. So if I take a website that's earning £1,000 a month and buy it off a guy, that website's going to cost me $40,000. Now, if I get that to £5,000 a month within a 4 or 5 or 6 month period, then I can flip that on for 40 times that $5,000.
That's
so
amazing.
You can do the maths. Now, I recently spoke at NamesCon last week, and I was given some case studies and stuff. Now, typically, I gave a case study where I had paid $3,000 for a website. It wasn't earning a huge amount of money, so it was $3,000. And I spent $10,000 in content. Now, with just doing on page and everything else, get after loads of long tails, that website shot right up. Now, it had a whole bunch of backlinks anyway that the guy had done. He didn't particularly do great on page. Now, within a 5 or a 6 month period, I had spent £13,000 overall on this website, and I flipped it for $136,000. So,
wow. Success, absolutely. That's awesome.
So what I'm basically doing is I'm a vulture looking for people who are crap at SEO, or some rookie that's poured their heart and soul into content, but they just don't know how to do keyword research or on page or link building, and essentially take these opportunities and scale them up. Now, I'm good at SEO. I'm good at scaling now. I have a team of people who work for me, and it's no different. The way I always compare it is it's no different from real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are looking for properties at below market value, properties that potentially get a damaged roof, dampness in the house or whatever, and they'll get it for $50,000.
Exactly.
They'll spend $20,000, fixing the house up, and they'll sell it for 150, whatever, and I'm not saying the profit margins are that high, but in the digital marketing real estate market, the margins really are that high. If you know what you're doing,
that's amazing.
Why the hell would you be doing work for a client? Now, you'll be able to tell me that your agency has taken people from $20,000 a month up to $100,000 a month, and various different figures. You probably had people you went from $1 million to $5 million and so on.
Sure.
Why are you not doing that for yourself? That's what you have to ask yourself as someone who does believe in their SEO skills. And now another example of this is Amazon pays the lowest form of commission. So they're paying something like 3 or 4% at the moment on their sales.
Right.
Now, me buying an Amazon affiliate website and simply just changing the monetization of that away from Amazon over to a private affiliate who pays 10%, I've basically
you've just doubled it. Yeah, absolutely, or tripled the amount. Yeah.
Revenue.
Yep.
So I buy that website for $20,000, and overnight I could sell it for 60. Like what
Wow.
60 or 80 or 100. So these are all very common sense things that you can do, or you can buy an Amazon affiliate, turn it into an e-com store or a drop shipping. There's so many things you can do, whilst buying and selling websites. And for me, the easiest thing for me is to take a website that's just not been run that well and scaling it up to a certain level and then flipping it. Now, I don't go in and buy websites at £1 million and flip, build it up to 5 million. That's probably quite risky, But I'm very, very confident that I can take a website from small to middle of the road, and then an investor can come in and take that gamble at that point. So a lot of people say to me, why do you always work at the the lower end of the scale? Now, I've got two big websites that make me my bread and butter money. They're at the side, they make me my money. I'm not interested. This is just like a property, buying a house, doing it up and flipping it on, do the same again. So for me, being able to scale from £1,000 to £5,000 a month is easy. Trying to scale something from 10 to 15 to 20 is slightly harder and slightly risky, because an algorithm update will come out and it'll boom, you're back down. You're like, fuck. So buying and selling websites is something I thoroughly enjoy as well, because also lets me dive in and out of different niches and understand things. And I've learned a lot about things to do with affiliate marketing, like why. So the way I see affiliate marketing is it's a purely investment for me. So when I pay for a content writer to write a page, why would I get that content writer to have products on that page that sell for $20 when I could be selling products at $200? Why would I enter markets that are seasonal? I bought a golf website before and it sold really well. The sales were really good for 8 months of a year. But for 4 months of the year, it was as dead as a dodo. So whilst I've been buying and selling websites, I've found a lot of these kind of little quirky things to further help me avoid certain websites as well. And, why sell stuff at £20 a whip and be paid peanuts for it? Because that page, the links that go to that page and everything cost me the same amount of money. So I want to go after
bigger
products.
Pieces. Yeah, absolutely. And you're linking to more quality products as well. So all these are our lessons learned, and you've been doing this how many years now?
Probably the last 5 or 6. Yeah, 2015. I started doing this stuff, so 6 years.
How many websites, just off the cuff, have you done this to?
Probably between 70 and 100. I've lost count.
Wow, there it is right there, guys. And you're not talking about major SEO overhaul. You're just bringing best practices, best on page, best technical structural SEO to the table, right? You're bringing your skills of knowledge of link building and different inbound factors, and you're just, I don't say just because it sounds very easy to say that, but you're bringing all those skills that you've learned, and then it's not very difficult with those practice behaviors to be able to screw the cap on that thing and turn it into a moneymaker overnight, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not that hard. All I'm doing is doing the basics properly. Simple as that. Nothing special, no fancy stuff, just investing money. The way I look at it is, you get clients and they'll say, oh, I've only got $500 a month and stuff like that. And it takes a while to buy content for that. But when I buy something, I'm quite happy to spend 10 grand in content. Things just move that bit quicker.
Fuel. It's fuel for the engine. That's what you're doing, right? At that point.
It's just filling it up with diesel or fuel.
There you go.
And off you pop. And that's exactly how it works.
That's
and
awesome.
It works well.
So where do you find some of these expired domains or these sites to be able to purchase, if you want to give our listeners a couple tips?
So you've got a number of places. So you can go to odys.cc. That's a premium aged domain and done for you affiliate website place, marketplace. You can go to websites. There's a Facebook group called Flipping Websites. Just put that in, you'll see it. There's guys on there selling websites that have got AdSense or Amazon and various other bits and bobs.
Right.
You can also look at empireflippers.com or Flipper. Now, Empire Flippers is probably if you want to invest 30, 40, 50 grand in a website. Anything below that, the 10 grand range or whatever, you're better going to the private Facebook groups or going to a private broker. And if you want to not do that, you want to go in slightly less, odys.cc is a marketplace where you can buy an aged domain and then you can implement your content strategy onto that aged domain, which is packed full of powerful backlinks. And obviously these domains are spam checked, trademark checked, and they're not the usual expired domains that you might be able to find on expireddomains.net or on the GoDaddy.
Yeah, because that's absolutely a risk, given the trail of potential spam any of these domains have, and we also know, just knowing Google, that even if that domain does change hands, there's still, it's almost like a criminal record behind you. Point being is that you're going to be in spam jail for a long time, and you have to know that history, right? You have to be able to also scan those yourself, and it's certainly great tools to be able to see kind of a link history and the build up over time as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's some great information, and what a great opportunity to be able to invest your SEO skills and be able to dial that in. So we certainly appreciate those websites and that insight there. Hey, I want to wrap up this segment with a couple quick questions. What bugs you about your industry right now?
Just the amount of spam. Like every day I wake up, the people trying to sell links and talk garbage to me. Like they try and be your so those one thing that really irritates me. See when you get those Facebook messages and someone that adds you and then they just say hi, how are you, blah 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 blah. Do you want to buy some links? That is so bloody annoying. I get like 100 of those a day, not just in my Facebook, but my Instagram, my Twitter, my mail. Honestly, it is really bloody irritating, and that really gets in my nerves just now. More than anything, it's just the level of spam and sleazy sales.
Yeah, don't forget LinkedIn. It's there too, right? LinkedIn is certainly being abused. Well, conversely, what excites you about your industry right now?
What excites me, I just think, this industry, it's a great career opportunity for anyone to get into of any age. Mm-hmm. It excites me just every day. There's just different opportunities, different angles, different ways to make money online, whether that be agency, affiliate, buying and selling websites, doing reputation management, doing site audits. There really is a good career choice for, someone that doesn't maybe go to university or doesn't turn out to be a doctor. Mm-hmm. It's a real good, exciting career. And I think what excites me is just things are changing. You've got AI kicking in. There's better tools coming out, better data coming out. Yep. I just find it quite an exciting, interesting industry in general. And long may that continue. Just amazing stuff, and automating things and all that stuff just gives me a massive thrill. Being able to feel like I'm cheating by doing a bit of automation, certain things is just brilliant. So I love all that.
Very good. Very good. Well, we certainly want to give you a moment to give some final thoughts to our digital marketing audience. A good deal are interested in SEO and advanced SEO, but what would be your final thoughts of guidance in the SEO realm?
I mean, what I would say is don't take everything that everyone says as gospel. Have your own thoughts and opinions. Do test things, because I say something works, don't believe it. Like, go away and try it out, test it, and you will soon see very, very quickly who, you'll be able to distinguish the wheat from the chaff or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of that in this industry. And when I was learning, I looked at a lot of different people, followed them, thought they were telling the truth, and they were just giving me a big pack of lies. So be careful who you follow. Do not follow 10 gurus. Probably follow a handful. Mm-hmm. Try and learn as much as you can, and then potentially move on to other guys. So, but testing is the one thing that you have to do. Even some of the older tactics that worked years ago that didn't work are now sometimes starting to work again. So that is where testing is really, really important. And yeah, just don't believe everything everyone says, and that includes Google and all the kind of guys and their crazy statements that they say that guest posts don't work, or this doesn't work, or that doesn't work. Because it didn't work for them doesn't mean it doesn't work, full stop. So just be careful, man, because there's just so much misinformation out there.
Very good, very good. Well, we certainly want to promote your YouTube channel. Where do we find you on YouTube? Because you're tearing it up there, man.
So just put my name in, Craig Campbell SEO, into YouTube, and you'll find I've got over 500 videos on there. I do weekly Q&As on there, trying to answer stuff to the community. People are welcome to come and pick our brains. I've got different guests. All my podcasts go on there. So it's hopefully an insightful place to go if you want to learn more about the kind of stuff.
And you've also cultivated a really good breakdown of SEO lessons, kind of SEO 101 as well in your playlist. So kudos there, because there's a lot of times that people don't get back and customize their YouTube channel with that type of effort. So you're doing a great job there. Certainly want our listeners to go check Craig out on YouTube. All right. Well, certainly thank you for your time today. We're going to wrap up. We want to make sure our listeners follow you on Twitter, Craig Campbell 03, on Facebook, Craig Campbell SEO 03, LinkedIn is Craig Campbell 0302, and Instagram is Craig Campbell SEO. So you've got all the lanes covered there, and you've been tearing it for a long time, and we wish you all the best of luck in the future. It's an honor to be able to speak with you today.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
More than welcome. More than welcome. All right. That's Edge of the Web, brought to you by Site Strategics. So certainly want you to check out a title sponsor here. And hey, if their services are something you're interested in, go give them a call, 877-736-4932. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Edge of the Web on YouTube. And if you're really feeling up to it today, we'd certainly appreciate a review on iTunes. That's how we do a little bit of our own marketing. And thank you to our sponsors, Site Strategics, for the show. Make sure you check out all the must-see videos over at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. From all of us over here, Jacob, any final thoughts before we send off today?
None.
Fantastic.
Nice and easy. I wasn't prepared for that.
Well, evidently you're on the stick, though. All right, so from all of us over at Edge, be safe, be well, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.